Hello students, today we will learn sandwich theorem. Okay, this is our famous sandwich theorem. Sandwich is a mathematician who gives this result, mathematical definition. Okay, so it is very helpful. What is the definition? Let me read it first. If f, g, h are three real valued functions of a real variable x defined at each point in a neighborhood of a point x equals to c, such that hx less equals to gx less equals to fx for all x in the domain in that neighborhood, and limit fx x tends to c equals to limit hx x tends to c equals to l, then limit x tends to c gx exists and limit x tends to c gx equals to also l. Okay, so ये सैंडविच ने क्या कहा? सैंडविच ने कहा there must be three functions to define a sandwich theorem, right? Three functions are there and three functions must be real valued functions. Okay, real valued functions means your domain and range both must be set of real numbers or any subset of set of real numbers. Okay, so three functions are there, f, g and h, right? And the relation between these three functions is like that, like that means hx less equals to gx less equals to fx for all x, right? After that, what sandwich interpret? Sandwich told us that the limit of these two functions at the given point x equals to c exists, and the limit of both the functions must be same, right? Limit of both the functions must be same, and if limit of both the functions at the given point exists and is limit same, then the limit of this function is also exist and the limit of this function is same as limit of that functions. ओके, सैंडविच का मतलब क्या होता है? मतलब बीच में से, isn't it? ऊपर वाला एक है, नीचे वाला एक है, और अंदर जो है मतलब ऊपर का फंक्शन क्या हो गया fx, नीचे वाला hx, और gx क्या है अंदर में. तो अगर ऊपर वाला और नीचे वाला का फंक्शंस का लिमिट एग्जिस्ट हो रहा है और उन दोनों का लिमिट सेम है, तो अंदर का जो फंक्शन होगा उसका भी लिमिट एग्जिस्ट होगा एट दैट पॉइंट, एंड उसका भी लिमिट उन दोनों का लिमिट के सेम ही होगा. ठीक है, so what is the meaning of this? The meaning is, it is very simple. Let me draw the graph first. The graph is like that. Okay, the graph is like that. I am going to explain the meaning of this, right? Because sometimes students may get confused with this line. That what is the meaning of this? Because you are familiar this type of inequality in case of real numbers, right? But in case of functions, you are not familiar with this type of inequalities. So let me explain this. Suppose this is the function, this is one function. Suppose this is another function, and suppose this is another function. Okay, now this function must be my fx and this function must be my hx. No, sorry. This must be fx because fx is greater and hx is smaller, and this middle one is my gx. And this is the meaning of this. You see, image of the meaning is whatever x you take. X means any independent variable, right? And if you find, that means if you take any x, suppose here x equals to c. If you take any x equals to c, then your f of c is be greater because this is your f of c, isn't it? You see, this must be your f of c, right? And this must be your g of c, and this must be your h of c, isn't it? That means whatever independent variable you may take, the image of each and every variable in this domain is always f of c is always greater than g of c, and g of c is always greater than h of c. This is the meaning of this. That means if you take any variable x, then image of this x with respect to the function f is always greater than the image of the variable x with respect to the function g, and this is always greater than or equals to the image of the variable x with respect to the function h. Okay, and this is the meaning of this, right? So the meaning is, this is the meaning of this line, and from this interpretation सैंडविच ने क्या कहा? अगर ये जो फंक्शन है इसका लिमिट एग्जिस्ट है और ये जो फंक्शन है इसका भी लिमिट एग्जिस्ट है, ये फर्स्ट मतलब कंडीशन है। सेकंड कंडीशन क्या है? सेकंड कंडीशन इज दैट बोथ ऑफ द लिमिट ऑफ बोथ द फंक्शंस आर सेम। फर्स्ट condition is limit of both the function must be exist and second condition is limit of both the function must be same. If it happens, then by sandwich theorem you can say that limit of this function is also exist and the limit of that function must be equal to limit of those functions. Okay, so this is what the graphical meaning of sandwich theorem. So let me prove it analytically. Okay, so before that pause the video, note it down. So now let us prove this sandwich theorem analytically, okay? Because this proof is very important for your exam purpose also and for the problem purpose also. Because if you know the proof, then you can solve many problems by using this the concept of sandwich theorem, okay? So let us prove it. Proof. Now my first thing is, as we are going to apply the concept of epsilon delta definition of limit of a function, and it is given that both the limit exist and the limit is L, right? So without thinking anything, our first job is to take this epsilon, right? So let epsilon greater than 0. This is your first job in case of epsilon delta definition of limit of a function, okay? Now what to do? Now you have to use this concept. This is very important. Now right, since it is very easy. If you know the epsilon delta definition of limit of a function, then you can easily prove this theorem, or you can easily understand this. Now since you just use this fact first, since limit fx x tends to c equals to L, so this implies, what is the meaning of this? This implies there exists some delta 1 greater than 0 such that fx minus L less than epsilon whenever mod x minus c less than delta 1, right? Now you can give it equation number 1, inequality number 1. Now again use this fact. Again, since limit hx x tends to c equals to L, so this implies there exists delta 2 greater than 0 such that hx minus L less than epsilon whenever mod x minus c less than delta 2, inequality number 2, right? Now already I have told you that with the given two deltas you are not allowed to do anything further, right? So before that you have to take the minimum one, right? And I have also explained that why we are interested to take the minimum delta, why not maximum delta, isn't it? So now my job is to take the minimum one, okay? So let delta equals to minimum of delta 1 comma delta 2, so that delta greater than 0. Why it is delta greater than 0? Because delta 1 and delta 2, both of them are greater than 0, and this delta takes any one of them, take the value of any one of them. That's why this delta also greater than 0. So comma, with this chosen delta, greater than 0, the above inequalities the above inequalities 1 and 2 hold, right? Now what? Now we have to use this one now. Now fx minus L less than epsilon whenever mod x minus c less than delta, isn't it? Because this is delta 1, so I can use delta here because I have already told that with this 2 and delta the above both the inequalities hold. Now this implies, what is the meaning of this? The meaning is minus epsilon less than fx minus L less than epsilon whenever mod x minus c less than delta. Now this implies, now I am going to add L in both sides, right? Because this L is a constant quantity, so I can add or subtract any constant quantity throughout in any inequalities, right? Now I am going to add L minus epsilon less than L plus fx minus L less than L plus epsilon whenever, I am not going to write this, so this implies, this is what, L minus epsilon less than fx less than L plus epsilon whenever mod x minus c less than delta, give it inequality number 3, right? Again, now use this fact hx, okay? Again, mod hx minus L less than epsilon whenever mod x minus c less than delta. Now this implies minus epsilon less than hx minus L less than epsilon whenever this. Now this implies, now I am going to add L in same earlier one. So L minus epsilon less than L plus hx minus L less than L plus epsilon whenever this. Now this implies L minus epsilon less than hx less than L plus epsilon whenever x minus c less than delta, give it inequality number 4, right? Now let me erase this part because I have no space to finish it. Let me erase this part. So before that, positive it noted down. Okay? So let me erase this part. Now you see, now I am going to use this fact. Okay? Now hx less equals to gx less equals to fx. Okay? First of all, you have to identify what you are going to prove. You have to prove this one, right? To prove this one, you have to prove this, that gx minus L less than epsilon whenever x minus c less than delta, isn't it? To prove this line, it is enough to prove this one, right? The meaning of these are same. So now you see, this implies, now you see hx, so use the fact this hx, so this L minus epsilon is strictly less than the quantity hx, so I can use this fact here, right? So I can use here this L minus epsilon is strictly less than hx, right? Now it is right. Now less equals to gx less equals to fx. Now here you see, in this quantity, this L plus epsilon is strictly greater than the quantity fx. So I can use this fact here, L plus epsilon, right? Whenever x minus c less than delta, by using 3 and 4, because I am used both this inequality here, right? Now this implies, now from this inequality I can write L minus epsilon is strictly less than gx and it is strictly less than L plus epsilon whenever x minus c less than delta. Now it is correct? ये भी ठीक है ना? L माइनस एप्सिलॉन क्या है, एच एक्स से छोटा है और जी एक्स क्या है, एच एक्स से बड़ा है, तो ऑब्वियसली एल माइनस एप्सिलॉन से जी एक्स बड़ा होगा और एल प्लस एप्सिलॉन जी एक्स से बड़ा होगा, राइट। नाउ आई कैन सब्ट्रैक्ट एल फ्रॉम बोथ साइड्स, तो एल माइनस एप्सिलॉन माइनस एल लेस देन जी एक्स माइनस एल लेस देन एल प्लस एप्सिलॉन माइनस एल whenever this, now this implies it is minus epsilon less than gx minus L less than plus epsilon whenever this. Now what is the meaning of this? This is what gx minus L mod gx minus L is strictly less than epsilon whenever mod x minus L less than delta, right? So therefore limit gx x tends to c equals to L. Done, right? So the proof is very easy. You just understand how to apply the concept of epsilon delta definition of limit of a function and how to apply the given quantities. This is the given quantity and this is also given quantity. So by using properly both the given quantity and by using the concept of epsilon delta definition of limit of a function, it is very easy to prove sandwich theorem. And this theorem is very important because by using this theorem we can solve lots of problems in a very easy way. Okay, so before that pause the video, note it down. So let us solve one problem by using sandwich theorem. That means let us see how we can use sandwich theorem to solve a particular problem. Okay. So let us solve it. Solution. I have to prove that limit of this function is equals to 0 by using sandwich theorem, right? तो सैंडविच थ्योरम जब भी आपको बोलेगा कि सैंडविच थ्योरम अप्लाई करके कुछ दिस टाइप ऑफ प्रॉब्लम शो दैट, तो यहाँ पे आपको मतलब कुछ चीजें पहले मतलब जानना पड़ेगा कि सैंडविच थ्योरम जो है इसको अगर आप मतलब जो थ्योरम को अगर आप ध्यान से देखोगे तो यहाँ पे देखोगे कि 3 फंक्शंस लिया गया है, तीनों रियल वैल्यूड फंक्शंस होना चाहिए, राइट? सो टू अप्लाई द सैंडविच थ्योरम फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू हैव टू गेस दोस 3 फंक्शंस, राइट? बिकॉज यहाँ पे एक ही फंक्शन दिया हुआ है x sin 1 by x, राइट? तो x sin 1 by x का लिमिट x टेंड्स टू 0 इक्वल्स टू 0 ये आपको प्रूफ करना है, तो ये आपको प्रूफ करना होगा बाय यूजिंग सैंडविच थ्योरम। तो अगर आपको सैंडविच थ्योरम अप्लाई करना है तो आपको 3 फंक्शन चाहिए f g h, राइट? दैट मींस एनीवे यू हैव टू ब्रिंग सम कंडीशन लाइक दैट hx less equals to gx and less equals to fx, right? This is the way how to think to solve the problem, right? तो ये जो फंक्शन है आपको मतलब शो करना है, आपको प्रूफ करना है कि इसका लिमिट 0 है, तो ये तो पक्का है कि ये जो फंक्शन है वही हमारा gx है, x sin 1 by x, राइट? ये तरीका होता है, दिस इज द वे हाउ टू थिंक। तो पहले तो सैंडविच थ्योरम जो अप्लाई करना है उसके लिए हमें 3 फंक्शन लेना पड़ेगा, राइट? तो ये हो गया रिलेशन। तो इस रिलेशन से हमको ये तो पता चल गया कि ये जो मिडिल वाला फंक्शन है gx, यही हमारा गिवन फंक्शन है x sin 1 by x, राइट? तो हमें दिखाना है इसका लिमिट 0 है, तो इसका लिमिट 0 है ये अगर हमको दिखाना है तो पहले हमको इसका लिमिट 0 दिखाना पड़ेगा, इसका लिमिट भी 0 दिखाना पड़ेगा, राइट? तो आवर फर्स्ट जॉब इज टू फाइंड दोस फंक्शंस फर्स्ट, राइट? We have to find what will be hx, we have to find what will be fx first. After that we have to show that means we have to find these functions in such a way that both the limit of both the functions at the point 0 must exist and both of them must be same. समझ में आया? क्योंकि सैंडविच थ्योरम क्या बोला कि ये जो फंक्शंस है ये दोनों फंक्शंस का लिमिट एग्जिस्ट होना चाहिए, ये पहला बात है। दूसरा बात क्या है, ये जो फंक्शंस है इस दोनों का लिमिट एग्जिस्ट तो होना ही है, उसके बाद इस दोनों का लिमिट सेम होना चाहिए, राइट? तो यहाँ पे हमको पता है कि इसका लिमिट क्या है, 0 दिखाना पड़ेगा, राइट? Our job is to show that the limit of this function is equals to 0. That's why we can predict that limit of both the functions must be 0, right? If I can able to show that limit of both the functions exist and both of them equals to 0, then by using sandwich theorem we can show that limit of this function is 0, पकड़ में आया? This is the trick. That means this is the way how to think to solve a mathematical problem, right? ये ऐसा नहीं है कि ये प्रॉब्लम मैंने करा दी और एग्जाम में आ जाएगा. आपको समझना होगा ध्यान से. एग्जाम में क्या आएगा किसी को कोई पता नहीं है, राइट? हायर सेकेंडरी सिलेबस गया क्योंकि यहाँ पे आपका बुक था ना एनसीईआरटी का, एक बुक था, गाइडलाइंस था कि इस बुक से 80% 90% प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगा. लेकिन अब डिग्री में हो आप लोग, यहाँ पे कोई गाइडलाइन नहीं है, कोई पर्टिकुलर बुक नहीं है, राइट? एक टेक्स्ट बुक दिया गया आपका जो सिलेबस में, वो टेक्स्ट बुक भी आपके लिए नहीं है. बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम है यहाँ पे, आप यू कैन बाई एंड यू कैन सी, राइट? तो यहाँ पे आपको समझना होगा हर एक स्टेप. तो लेट अस सी हाउ टू सॉल्व. First of all, we know what we know. We know minus 1 less equals to sine 1 by x less equals to 1 for all x not equals to 0. This is I know because here x cannot be equals to 0 because if x equals to 0 then it becomes 1 by 0 infinity. The sine infinity is undefined, isn't it? So this x cannot be equals to 0 and this is sine. So we know from the concept of trigonometric function that range of sine function is always closed interval minus 1 and 1, isn't it? Because sine function always lies between minus 1 to 1. So this sine function is always lies between minus 1 to 1, right? And why I have taken 1 by x, because it is given that sine 1 by x, right? Now you see, if x is not equals to 0, then x can take two types of values, right? Because this x is a real number. If you can see the real number, then x is not 0. So if you can any variable which lies right side of the 0, then it will be a positive number. And if you can any variable which lies left side of 0, then it will be a negative number. That means this x can take values positive as well as negative, right? So what happens if x is greater than 0, right? So if x greater than 0, then now you see, if you can recall the property of linear inequality, that means if you can multiply any positive quantity in inequality, then the inequality remains unchanged, isn't it? Because this x is a positive quantity, so I can multiply throughout by x, right? Then minus 1 into x less equals to x into sine 1 by x less equals to 1 into x, right? So from this line I can write minus x less equals to x sine 1 by x less equals to x, right? Now I have taken x greater than 0. Now I can take x less than 0. Again if x less than 0, then what happens? Now you see, this is the negative quantity. So if I can multiply this x in this inequality, then the sign of this inequality remains changed, will be changed. Now minus 1 into x, it will be greater than or equals to x into sine 1 by x, and it is reversed, obviously, greater than or equals to 1 into x. Are you getting this line? Because this x is a negative quantity. So if I can multiply any linear inequality by a negative quantity, then the sign of this inequality sign get reversed. Okay. So now this is minus x greater than or equals to x sine 1 by x greater than or equals to x. Now it is x. If you can reverse this, it is x less equals to x sine 1 by x less equals to minus x. Right. Now I got this line. You see, this is very important line. This line and this line. Right. When x is greater than 0, then I got this line. When x is less than 0, then I got this line. Now if I can combine both the lines, then what will I get? Here you see, this is the quantity, right? This is my function gx, right? Now this gx is what? In one case this gx is less than x and it is greater than minus x, and in this case this gx is less than minus and it is greater than x, right? So if I can combine both this statement, you can write this is inequality 1 and this is inequality 2. So by combining 1 and 2, we get, what we get? It will be minus mod x less equals to x sine 1 by x less equals to mod x, right? And this is for all x not equals to 0, right? It will be minus mod x and it will be plus mod x. Okay. Now you see, now I got, this is my gx and now this is my fx and this is my hx, right? Now you see, therefore limit mod of minus x minus mod of x tends to 0 equals to what? 0, and limit mod x tends to 0 equals to 0, right? Both of them is 0. Therefore by sandwich theorem, limit of this function is what? Limit x tends to 0, x sine 1 by x equals to 0, right? So this is the way how we can apply sandwich theorem to solve a mathematical problem very easily. Okay. So before that, pause the video, note it down.